Midwest, community is important.
Having a healthcare system that's looking out for us,
that's actively addressing the racial disparities in healthcare is important.
When we can get good quality care, we can do more. We can achieve more.
We can be the kind of community we want to be, and that's really important.
UW Health. Remarkable medicine. Remarkable care.
Good afternoon, folks. This is Robert Chappell, Executive Editor at Madison365, coming to you from the Club on the Square, our office here on 1 North Pinckney Street, a space we share with the Boys and Girls Club of Dane County, as well as the Black Men's Coalition of Dane County and Feeding the Youth, and lots of other fun folks who stop by. I'm down here today because we have a vaccine awareness walk tonight at 6 o'clock here around the Capitol. If you want to stop by, if you're in the neighborhood, stop by. The first 50 people who come will get a t-shirt that says, "Get it, got it, good." You get it, the vaccine, then you got it, then you're good. We're expecting several community leaders and stuff to come down. The other thing, we'll talk more about the rest of the vaccine awareness events in a bit. Let's get to the numbers though first. The COVID spreading numbers today are not terrible. As we saw yesterday, the number of actual new cases is up a bit since, from last Tuesday. We've been seeing this sort of pattern of over the course of a week. We'll see a smaller number on Monday and Tuesday, and then higher numbers into Wednesday and Thursday. So you kind of compare Tuesday to Tuesday and what gets reported. So today we're reporting 517 new cases. Yesterday was only 205. So we thought, maybe things were starting to actually turn down a little bit. Today it seems like they're catching up, because last Tuesday we had, oh no, I'm wrong. This is better. Yeah, last Tuesday we had 721 cases. Today with 517. So it is actually down. I was misreading the spreadsheet before. So we're fine. This is good. 517 new cases today, more than yesterday, 205 yesterday, but fewer than last week, Tuesday, which is 721. So that's pretty good news. The other piece of good news is that the positive test rate, which is to say the percentage of all the tests in the past 7 days that have come back positive, is 3.1%. 3.0% is kind of the magic number. There's nothing magical about it, but you talk to public health people and they will tell you what, if you have that positive test rate below 3.0%, that means you have the thing under control, more or less. That means you're doing enough testing. It means there's, your ratio to negative tests to positive tests are such that you can really contact trace and isolate those positive cases. So we like to see that below 3.0, 3.1. However, we'll take it, especially because it was 3.1 yesterday and it was in the 3.4 range just a few days ago. So the fact is that 3.1 number, it's more than 3.0. We want it to be less than 3.0, fine. But the trend is downward, which is the right direction. We've kind of been more or less plateaued just above 3.0 for over 2 weeks now, with a little bit of a bump up to 3.4 and then back down. So that's fine. It's not great. It's fine. We'll take it. Now, I am somewhat optimistic that one of the reasons we're seeing these numbers come down a little bit and that we're seeing that positive test rate sort of remaining pretty static at a relatively low number is that we are starting to get to certain sort of thresholds of vaccine, especially in certain areas. Here in Dane County, we have 61.4% of us have gotten one shot, and 50% have actually gotten both. Yeah. Dane County's positive test rate is 1.1. That's not a coincidence. We have a lot of In Dane County, people have been, wearing their masks and keeping their distance, even when things felt okay. And we've just got this really high rate of vaccine compliance, right? Now, compare that to Milwaukee County, where only 42% have gotten one shot and where 35% are fully vaccinated. And it's in Milwaukee, it's not necessarily that people don't want to get it. It's difficulty getting it, right? So, statewide, we are now at 37.6% completely vaccinated. We're at 44% have gotten one dose. Now, getting one dose does actually offer a little bit of immunity. So there's some talk that once you get to that sort of 50% have gotten one dose, you'll start to see an impact in the actual spread numbers. And I wonder if we're almost starting to see that at this point, because some areas around the state are getting close to 50% having one shot. Now, vaccine compliance or vaccine, just the number of vaccines that are given each day is continuing to slow down. It is now just over 26,000 per day. 26,000 shots a day is a lot, especially compared to, our current average of new cases per day is 606. So we're getting a lot more shots done than new cases per day. If this were a race, the vaccine would be beating the virus in the race. Okay, that's good. But it's going to continue if it's going to continue to slow, that might not, necessarily hold. So we'd really like to see that continue to not slow down, but to actually speed up and get more than 26,000 shots per day, especially for those of us, there's a couple million adults who are eligible who haven't gotten it yet. And a lot of those haven't gotten it because there are significant barriers, language barriers, transportation barriers. There's some hesitancy, especially among rural white people. The hesitancy, by the way, is not in Black people. It's not in Latino people or Asian people. It's mostly rural white people who are hesitant. But there's also a lot of complacency, I think. A lot of folks are just like, I'll get around to it. I'll get it when I can. Not feeling a lot of urgency. I'm telling you to feel urgency. If we can get this done, this is how we can do this together. We can end this thing, at least here. And every one person who gets a shot gets us a little bit closer to that 80% to herd immunity. Now, I did also see, I was just happened to stop by Walgreens today, and there's a sign that they have Johnson & Johnson, one and done, no appointment necessary. So if getting to two doctor's appointments or to two appointments is inconvenient for you or significantly difficult for you, the one-shot Johnson & Johnsons are available. It's not that hard to find, right? So look into it. I think it's I think we have opportunities here to work together to get rid of this thing and be done with it once and for all within a couple of months. A couple more months, we can be done with this. I think, to be honest with you, that's about all I had. Oh, one other thing I'll mention about COVID numbers. We reported 13 more fatalities today. Again, a lot of these are catching up. We know there's one new fatality in Dane County. Dane County had its first fatality in the month of May. It was reported today. So there still are people dying, but a lot of these deaths that are being reported right now are older, that happened months ago. They're still important. We still got to, acknowledge them. We still want to count them because they matter. But we're catching up on the data now that things are a little slower. So 13 fatalities were reported today. We didn't have 13 people who passed away today. Does that make sense? So again, let's talk a little bit more about these vaccine awareness events. We have the vaccine awareness walk that I mentioned today down here at the state capitol. I'll be live streaming that. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Between 6 and 7 tonight, we'll have some advocates down here talking about vaccine, why it's important. We're going to have a vaccine town hall tomorrow at this time, at 4 o'clock. I'll have my update early tomorrow. Probably do my update about 3:30, maybe 3 o'clock. And we'll have the vaccine awareness town hall. We're going to have like community health advocates, community health leaders, public health leaders, doctors. We're going to have the state, I'm talking more about this after the break, but the chief medical officer at the State Department of Health Services will be on that town hall. And she is a Black woman. We'll talk more about her right after the break, but it's going to be an important opportunity to hear from people who aren't your usual, government type advocates necessarily, right? So if you have questions, if you have worries, concerns, tune into that at 4 o'clock tomorrow, Facebook Live, and you can ask questions of those doctors and health professionals, and hopefully they'll be able to address any fears or concerns you might have. If you have hesitancy about getting a vaccine, if you can hear from people who people you think you can trust, tune into that tomorrow at 4 o'clock. We're gonna have a youth town hall, a similar formatted event on Thursday at 4 o'clock. That's youth 16 to through college can get vaccinated now. Actually, what am I saying? Yesterday, the Pfizer vaccine got approved for youth 12 to 15. So, kids can get it. And kids can advocate for themselves to be vaccinated. And, start to move through the world like they used to again, right? And then on Friday, the Boys and Girls Club at their Allied Drive location here on the south side of Madison will have a cookout and have lots of vaccine type information for you. And then on Saturday, they'll be giving vaccines to whoever needs one. It'll be the Pfizer, and then you come back in a few weeks and get the second one. But it's free and available, and whoever wants to come by that Allied Drive location on the south side of Madison to get your shot on Saturday. All right, so that's the plan for the week. Again, we'll have that walk tonight. So, watch this space for that, and come back tomorrow for that town hall. I think that'll be really enlightening. Stick with us. I don't have my normal setup down here, obviously, so I can't do the graphics. But I've got lots of other local news and statewide news to talk about right after the break. So stick with us. We'll be back right after this word from Madison College. And we are back. Thanks for sticking with us. Dr. Jasmine Zapata, if you followed Madison365 for any length of time, you might have run across that name. She is a family physician. She's a pediatrician. She's a longtime community health advocate. She's an author, and she coaches other people in authoring books and stuff. And she was at the forefront of the White Coats for Black Lives movement this summer, doctors and health professionals advocating for Black lives. And she is she's just been named the chief medical officer for the state of Wisconsin, for the state of Wisconsin Department of Health Services. That's a job that has been pretty obscure until this past year, right? It's not like you could name your chief medical officer necessarily, but when the governor started doing daily briefings at the beginning of the COVID crisis, Dr. Ryan Westergaard was on those calls, was on those briefings. And so it's a big deal in a time of crisis. And it's a big deal to have such a strong community advocate and a Black woman and who has a different perspective in that role now. And I think that's really exciting. And she is going to be on that town hall. And she's very busy, obviously. She always has been, but she's especially busy now. But we're going to try really hard to get her on this show. and our morning podcast. So we'd love to hear from her. The other thing I'll mention today is Waunakee High School. I'll talk about this. Then I have one more piece of news to break that I just got word that I could break. Waunakee, as you know, is the Warriors, which in itself is not that, they're kind of neutral, but the imagery they use is a spear with a feather on it, which is problematic from an Indigenous perspective. There was a resolution proposed that would basically declare that kind of imagery use is discriminatory and therefore we shouldn't do it. And the school board defeated that motion. But now they're beginning a new process. They're going to study it. They're going to talk with Indigenous members of the community, Indigenous members of the staff, talk about that imagery, figure out what to do next with it, if anything. There's also just a massive, massive mural in one of the gyms there that depicts a somewhat problematic depiction of a Native American person. It's not a cartoon caricature the way a lot of them are, but it's not great. It's not particularly modern. It was created in the 1970s with consultation with some Ho-Chunk people. So there's that, but there's a definite desire to move that or cover it up or something. But that process is beginning. Waunakee is the last school district in Dane County to use this kind of imagery. I don't know if you've been around a while. You might remember Verona used to be the Indians and changed to Wildcats in 1993. So a long time ago now. So there's still more than 30 other districts around the state that use this kind of imagery and names and stuff. And it's just a slow but sure process to chip away at these representations. Finally, today, the news that you are hearing for the first time right now, Monona, the city of Monona has hired a new police chief, and his name is Brian Cheney Austin, and he will be the first Black police chief for the city of Monona. He is probably also, I'm pretty sure, I have to verify this, the first openly LGBT police chief for the city of Monona, and probably police chief anywhere in Dane County, to be honest. So I just got word from Monona Alder Christy Goforth that he has actually signed the contract. We heard, the Police and Fire Commission approved this yesterday. And it's a matter of getting this contract signed today. And so I am planning to talk with him right after we're done here. And I'll write something up. So there'll be an article in the morning probably. So you can get to know him a little better. And, as you might remember, was it last week or was it 2 weeks ago already? We actually had a town hall with all 5 Black police chiefs and sheriffs in Wisconsin. The Dane County Sheriff, City of Madison Police Chief, Milwaukee County Sheriff, the acting police chief in Milwaukee County, or City of Milwaukee, and the City of Beloit. Now there are 6, as Brian Cheney Austin takes the helm at the Monona Police Department. Also should mention the other Black police leader we didn't have on that because he wasn't local is the superintendent of the state patrol is also Black. So, I think you can't say somebody's going to be a great cop because they're Black, but that kind of representation, I think, is actually quite valuable. As Christy Goforth mentions in the comments here, not only is he the first Black police chief, he's the first Black police officer at all, and he's one of only 2 Black city employees right now out of the 70 or so city employees. So thank you, Christy, for keeping us in the loop on that. And again, I'm going to talk with him as soon as we're done here, and we will we'll have that for you tomorrow morning. Until then, we will have the It's Only 10 Minutes podcast in the morning. Again, watch our feed 6 o'clock tonight. Somewhere between 6 and 7, we'll have some live stream of the Capitol Square vaccine awareness walk. And then tomorrow, the update will be early, and then we'll have the vaccine awareness town hall at 4 o'clock tomorrow. Until then, have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you again soon.
This is 365 Media.